Hello everyone. Today I've decided and plan to upload some videos wherein I'll be reading NCERT of class 11th and 12th biology, and I know it's very important for examinations like NEET because they have to learn NCERT again and again. I mean read it again and again so that they can learn it by heart because they ask questions from the NCERT lines. And we all get tired by reading NCERT again and again, or either any text. Reading any text will find like you will find it very tiring. So, I have made it simpler for you guys. I'm gonna upload these videos and I'll be reading it from end to end. And please forgive me if I'll do anything wrong. I will adjust it so that the meaning won't change, but you'll find it very helpful. I know it for sure, and enjoying at the same time because I'm gonna make it in a very friendly manner so that you can enjoy. I'm gonna narrate the story like that, so you will enjoy it. I'm pretty sure about it. This is the first video, that's why I'm just saying all this stuff. Otherwise, in other videos, I'll not be saying like that, so you will not find any interruption. All right, so I'm gonna do it. So let's begin with the first unit. And also, do let me know in the comment section if you'll find it helpful, right? And that will appreciate me to upload such videos again, or I'll just do it, don't worry. All right, so let's start with the unit first, diversity in the living world. It includes four chapters: living world, biological classification, plant kingdom, and animal kingdom. I will highlight wherever I'll feel this line is important or just to mark that I'm here reading so that you can also navigate. Otherwise, you can just listen to it and you'll enjoy. I'm pretty sure about it. And pardon me, forgive me if I'll just do anything wrong. Otherwise, I'll not change the meaning of the line. I'm pretty sure about it. If I do, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's begin. Biology is the science of life forms and living processes. The living world comprised an amazing diversity of living organisms. Early man could easily perceive the difference between inanimate matter and the living organisms. Early man defined some of the inanimate matter, wind, sea, fire, etc., and some among the animals and the plants. A common feature of all such forms of inanimate and animate object was the sense of hue or fear that they evoked. The description of living organisms, including human beings, began much later in human history. Society, which indulged in anthropocentric view of biology, could register limited progress in the biological science. Systematic and monumental description of life forms brought in, out of necessity, detailed system of identification, nomenclature, and classification. The biggest spin off of such studies was the recognition of the sharing of similarity among living organisms both horizontally and vertically. That all present day living organisms are related to each other and also to all organisms that ever lived on this earth was a revelation which humbled man and led to cultural movements for conservation of biodiversities. The following chapter of this unit, you will get a description, including classification, of animals and plants from a taxonomist perspective. So let's read about this Ernest Mayr. Born on 5 July 1904 in Kempten, Germany, Ernest Mayr, the Harvard University evolutionary biologist who have been called the Darwin of 20th century, was one of the 100 greatest scientists of all the time. Mayer joined Harvard Faculty of Arts and Sciences in 1953 and retired in 1975. Assuming the title Alexander Agassiz Professor of Zoology Emeritus, throughout his early 80-year career, his research spanned ornithology, taxonomy, zoogeography, evolution, systematics, and the history and philosophy of biology. He almost single handedly made the origin of species diversity the central question of evolutionary biology that it is today. He also pioneered the currently accepted definition of biological species. Mayer was awarded three prizes widely regarded as Triple Crown of Biology: the Balzan Prize in 1983, the International Prize for Biology in 1994, and the Kraft Forward Prize in 1999. Mayer died at the age of 100 in the year 2004. Chapter first: The Living World. How wonderful is the living world! The wide range of living types is amazing. The extraordinary habitats in which we find living organisms, be it cold mountains, deciduous forests, oxygen, oceans, freshwater lakes, desert, or hot springs, leave us speechless. The beauty of a galloping horse, of migrating birds, the valley of flowers, or the attacking shark evokes you and a deep sense of wonder. The ecological conflict and cooperation among members of population and populations of community, or even in a micro molecular traffic inside a cell, make us deeply reflect on what indeed is life. This question has two implicit questions within it. The first is technical one and seeks answer to what or living is as opposed to non-living. And the second is a philosophical one and seeks answer to what is the purpose of life. As scientists, we shall not attempt answering the second question. We'll try to reflect on what is living. Diversity in the living world. If you look around, you will see a large variety of living organisms, be it a potted plant, insect, bird, your pets, or other animals and plants. There are also several organisms that you cannot see with your naked eyes, but they are all around you. If you were to increase the area that you make observations in, the range and the variety of organisms that you see would increase. Obviously, if you were to visit a dense forest, you would probably see a greater number and kinds of organisms in it. Each different kind of plant, animals, or organism that you see represent a species. The number of species that are known and described range between 1.7 to 1.8 million. This refers to biodiversity or the number and types of organisms present on the earth. We should remember here that as we explore new areas and even old ones, new organisms are continuously being identified. As stated earlier, there are millions of plants and animals in the world. We know the plants and animals in our own area by their local names. These local names would vary from place to place, even within a country. Probably you would recognize the confusion that would be created if we did not find ways and means to talk to each other to refer to organism we are talking about. Hence, there is a need to standardize the naming of living organisms such that a particular organism is known by the same name all over the world. This process is called nomenclature. Obviously, nomenclature or naming is only possible when living organism is described correctly and we know to what organism the name is attached to. This is identification. In order to facilitate the study, number of scientists have established procedure to assign a scientific name to each known organism. This is acceptable to biologists all over the world. For plants, scientific names are based on agreed principle and criteria, which are provided in the International Code for Botanical Nomenclature (ICBN). You may ask, how are animals named? Animal taxonomists have evolved International Code of Biological Nomenclature (ICZN). The scientific names ensure that each organism has only one name. Description of any organism would should enable the people in any part of the world to arrive at the same name. They also ensure that such a name has not been used for any other known organism. Biologists follow universally accepted principles to provide scientific name to known organisms. Each name has two components, the generic name and the specific epithet. This name of providing a name with two components is called binomial nomenclature. This naming system, given by Carolus Linnaeus, is being practiced by biologists all over the world. This naming system using two-word format was found convenient. Let us take the example of mango to understand the way of providing scientific names better. Scientific name of mango is written Magnifera indica in italics. Let us see how it is a binomial name. In this name, Magnifera represents genus while indica is a particular species or specific epithet. Other universal rules of the nomenclature are as follows. 1. Biological names are generally in Latin and written in italics. They are Latinized or derived from Latin irrespective of their origin. 2. The first word in the biological name represents genus while the second component denotes the specific epithet. Third, both the words in a biological name, while when written, are separately underlined or printed in italics to indicate their Latin origin. 4. The first word denoting the genus starts with a capital letter, while the specific epithet starts with a small letter. It can be illustrated with the example of Magnifera indica with M capital I small. Name of author appears after specific epithet at the end of the biological name and is written in an abbreviated form. Magnifera indica Lin. It indicates that this specific species was first described by Linnaeus. Since it is nearly impossible to study all the living organisms, it is necessary to devise some means to make this possible. This process is classification. Classification is the process by which anything is grouped into convenient categories based on some easily observable characters. For example, we easily recognize groups such as plants and animals, or dogs, cats, or insects. The moment we use any of these terms, we associate certain characters with the organism in that group. What image do you see when you think of a dog? Obviously, each one of us will see dogs and not cats. Now, if we were to think of Alsatians, we know what we are talking about. Similarly, suppose we were to say mammals, you would of course think of animals with external ears and body hairs. Likewise, in plants, if we are trying to talk about wheat, the picture in each of our minds would be of wheat plants, not of rice or any other plant. Hence, all these dogs, cats, mammals, wheat, rice, plants, animals, etc., are convenient categories we use to study organisms. Scientific terms for these categories is taxa. Here, you must recognize that taxa can indicate categories at very different levels. Plants also form a taxa. Wheat is also a taxa. Similarly, animals, mammals, dogs are all taxa. But you know that a dog is a mammal and mammals are animals. Therefore, animals, mammals, dogs represent taxa at different levels. Hence, based on characteristic, all the living organisms can be classified into different taxa. This process of classification is taxonomy. External and internal structure, along with structure of cell, developmental process, and ecological information of organisms are essential and form the basis of modern taxonomic study. Hence, characterization, identification, classification, nomenclature are the processes that are basic to taxonomy. Taxonomy is not something new. Human beings have always been interested in knowing more and more about various kinds of organisms, particularly with reference to their own use. In early days, human beings needed to find sources for their basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. Hence, the earliest classification were based on the uses of various organisms. Human beings were since long not only interested in knowing more about different kinds of organisms and their diversities, but also the relationships among them. This branch of study was referred to as systematics. The word systematics is derived from a Latin word systema, which means systematic arrangement of organisms. Linnaeus used Systema Naturae as a title of his publication. The scope of systematics was later enlarged to include identification, nomenclature, and classification. Systematics takes into account evolutionary relationships between organisms. Taxonomic categories. Classification is not a single step process but involves hierarchy of steps in which each step represents a rank or category. Since this category is a part of overall taxonomic arrangement, it is called taxonomic category. All the categories together constitute taxonomic hierarchy. Each category referred to as a unit of classification. In fact, it represents a rank and is commonly termed as a taxon, plural taxa. Taxonomic categories and hierarchy can be illustrated by an example. Insects represent a group of organisms sharing common features like three pair of joint legs. It means insects are recognizable concrete objects which can be classified and thus were given a rank or category. Can you name other such groups of organisms? Remember, groups represent category. Category further denotes rank. Each rank or taxon, in fact, represent a unit of classification. These taxonomic groups or categories are distinct biological entities and not merely morphological aggregates. Taxonomical studies of all known organisms have led to the development of common categories such as kingdom, phylum, division for plants, class, order, family, genus, species. All organisms, including those in plants and animal kingdoms, have species as the lowest category. Now, the question you may ask is how to place an organism in various categories? The basic requirement is the knowledge of characters of an organism or groups of organisms. This helps in identifying similarities and dissimilarities among the individuals of the same kind of organisms as well as of other kinds of organisms. Species. Taxonomic studies consider a group of individual organisms with fundamental similarities as a species. One should be able to distinguish one species from the other closely related species based on distinct morphological differences. Let us consider Magnifera indica, Solanum tuberosum potato, and Panthera leo lion. All the three names, indica, tuberosum, and leo, represent specific epithet, while the first words Magnifera, Solanum, and Panthera are genera and represents another higher level of taxon or category. Each genus may have one or more than one specific epithets representing different organisms but having morphological similarities. For example, Panthera has another specific epithet called tigris, and Solanum includes species like Nigrum and Melongena. Human beings belong to the species sapiens, which is grouped in the genus Homo. The scientific name, thus, for human being is written as Homo sapiens. Genus. Genus comprise a group of related species which has more characters in common in comparison to species of other genera. We can say that genera are aggregates of closely related species. For example, potato and brinjal are two different species but belong to genus Solanum. Lion, Panthera leo, leopard, P. pardus, and the tiger, P. tigris, with several common features, are all species of the genus Panthera. This genus differs from another genus Felis, which includes cats. Family. The next category, family, has a group of related genera with still less number of similarities as compared to genus and species. Families are characterized on the basis of both vegetative and reproductive features of plant species. Among plants, for example, three different genera Solanum, Petunia, and Datura are placed in the family Solanaceae. Among animals, for example, genera Panthera, comprising lion, tiger, leopard, is put along with genus Felis, cat in the kingdom Felidae. Similarly, if you all observe the features of cat and dog, you will find some similarities and some differences as well. They are separated into two different families, Felidae and Canidae, respectively. Order. You have seen earlier that categories like species, genus, and families are based on a number of similar characters. Generally, order and other higher taxonomic characters are identified based on aggregates of characters. Order, being a higher category, is the assemblage of families which exhibit a few similar characters. The similar characters are less in number as compared to different genera included in a family. Plant families like Convolvulaceae, Solanaceae are included in the order Polymenales, mainly based on the floral characters. The animal order Carnivora includes families like Felidae and Canidae. Class. This category includes related orders. For example, order Primata, comprising monkey, gorilla, and gibbon, is placed in a class Mammalia along with order Carnivora that includes animals like tiger, cat, and dog. Class Mammalia has also other orders as well. Phylum. Class comprising animals like fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, along with mammals, constitute the next higher category called phylum. All these based on the common feature like presence of notochord and dorsal hollow neural system included in phylum chordates. In case of plant, classes with few similar characters are assigned to a higher category called division. Kingdom. All animals belonging to various phyla are assigned to a highest category called animal kingdom, kingdom Animalia, in the classification system of animals. The kingdom Plantae, on the other hand, is distinct and comprises all plants from various divisions. Henceforth, we will refer to these groups as animal and plant kingdoms. The taxonomic categories from species to kingdom have been shown in ascending order starting with species in figure 1.1. Species, genus, family, order, class, phylum or division, kingdom. These are broad categories. However, taxonomists have also developed subcategories in this hierarchy to facilitate more sound and scientific placement of various taxa. Look at hierarchy in figure 1.1. Species, genus, family, order, class, phylum or division, kingdom. Say, for example, as we go higher from species to kingdom, the number of common characters goes on decreasing. Lower the taxa, more are the characters that members within the taxon share. Higher the categories, greater the difficulty of determining a relationship to other taxa at the same level. Hence, the problem of classification becomes more complex. Table 1.1 indicate taxonomic categories to which some common organisms like housefly, man, mango, and wheat belong. Common name, biological name, genus, family, order, class, phylum, or division. Man, Homo sapiens, Homo, Hominidae, Primata, Mammalia chordata. Housefly, Musca domestica, Musca muscidae, Diptera insecta arthropoda. Mango, Magnifera indica, Magnifera anacardiaceae, spindales, dicotyledone, angiospermae. Wheat, Trichum aestivum, Trichum poaceae, Poales, monocotyledone, and angiosperm. The living world is rich in variety. Millions of plants and animals have been identified and described, but large numbers still remains unknown. A very range a very range of organism in terms of size, color, habitat, philosophical, physiological, and morphological features make us seek the defining characteristic of living organisms. In order to facilitate the study of kinds and diversity of organisms, biologists have evolved certain rules and principles for identification, nomenclature, and classification of organisms. The branch of knowledge dealing with these aspects is referred to as taxonomy. The taxonomic studies of various species of plants and animals are useful in agriculture, forestry, industry, and in general for knowing our bioresources and their diversity. The basic of taxonomy, like identification, naming, classification of organisms, are universally evolved under international codes. Based on resemblance and distinct differences, each organism is identified and assigned a correct scientific biological name comprising of two words as per the binomial system of nomenclature. As organism represent occupies a place or position in the system of classification. These are there are many categories, ranks which are generally referred to as taxonomic categories or taxa. All the categories constitute a taxonomic hierarchy. Okay, guys, that's it for this video, and that's it for the chapter The Living World. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I know there are lots of ways, lots of places where I made mistake. I'm sorry for all the of that, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you enjoy it, do let me know in the comment section below. And thank you. Bye bye.